Hello again, welcome back everyone. LiquorHound here with you. Thank you for joining me for another one of my spirit review videos. And as you can see today, we're finally going to get around to reviewing some Scotch whiskey. To do that, we're going to do these Glenfiddich special releases. We're talking about the Snow Phoenix, the Cask of Dreams, the Malt Masters edition, and this one isn't a special edition, but I figured we'd end big with the Glenfiddich 30. Little notes on them. The Snow Phoenix actually was released in 2010-2011. And the reason it came out was because on January 7, 2010, there was a big snowstorm there in Scotland. The warehouses there at Glenfiddich had gotten overwhelmed, had some roof collapses, and the snow covered some of those casks, and the elements had their effects on them for the weeks that they were exposed. So they decided to do this special bottling with those barrels, which contained anywhere from 13 to 30-year-old whiskeys. It's bottled at 95.2 proof, and I've heard bottle numbers ranging anywhere from 60,000 down to 12,000. What I'm kind of leaning towards is I'm guessing they were probably able to make 60,000 bottles out of all those barrels, but maybe only 12,000 made it to the U.S. Either way, that's not a huge number, and I know they're getting very, very difficult to find. Alright, Cask of Dreams. It's actually a blend of 14 to 16-year-old whiskeys, and what they did was they took these empty casks to different cities here in the U.S. and had people write their dreams on them. And they selected some of those people for to have their dreams written on the bottles. And matter of fact, I think even if you were selected, I think you got like $15,000 to get your dream started. The Cask of Dreams bottled at 97.6 proof, but there was only 3,500 bottles released. Now again, this is 2011-2012. I heard that in 2013 June, I think they're going to release the second edition. So you might want to look for it because I really do enjoy this whiskey. Here we have the Malt Masters edition. It's actually a double matured bourbon. And what that simply means is that it does the half its years in probably the bourbon barrels and then pretty much the second half in sherry casks. I believe the actual age is 6 to 8 years in bourbon, 4 to 6 in the sherry. Either way, it's bottled at 86 proof, so a little bit lower than these two. And there was 18,000 bottles released. So we're going to see how that fares. As you can see, the color's getting a little darker, and that's that big sherry influence. Unlike some other whiskeys that are just finished in sherry or finished in a different type of casks, where it may spend just months in it, this one spent years. Another one that spent years is the Glenfiddich 30, hence the color is pretty similar. Again, bourbon and sherry casks, but just 30-year-old versus the 10 to 14-year-old here. Okay, so let's get on the nosing and tasting. Alright, Snow Phoenix, big sweet grain note, a little cinnamon, a little honey, and a little, it's either like a pear or an apple. That's what I get there. The alcohol is pretty strong on it. Again, I think this one's 95.2 proof. So I do have to get a little bit back out of the glass. But overall, very, very light, very nice. Alright, Cask of Dreams. Wow. Huge vanilla. By the way, I forgot to show you the color. Let's look at the color a little bit closer. So you can see fairly light on that one. Alright, let me show you the Cask of Dreams. Pretty similar. The nose is immediately way different here. Full of vanilla. There's also I'd call it a very, very subtle hint of like a loose leaf tobacco. Some golden raisins. Maybe a hint of fig or a plum in there as well. And cinnamon, a lot of spice again, similar to this one in the spice notes. Alright, Malt Masters. Look at that color. Definitely a big sherry influence here. The vanilla is there, but it's very, very less significant than this one. This one comes off a lot lighter. I guess it's because the proof is down as far as the alcohol on the nose and the burn. A lot of sherry, a lot of vanilla caramel. On the fruits, it's more of like a red fruit, a stone fruit, so plums and apricots. Maybe a hint of like a hint of cherry, just a subtle, subtle hint. Very nice. Okay. The Glenfiddich 30. Look at that color. Don't forget. Definitely a little darker. Wow. Similar, but much more oak influence on this one. Not nearly as much alcohol. This one's only 80 proof. So it comes off a little darker. The grains aren't as fresh as in these, but there's still a little bit of caramel. What is that? A little fig, a little plum. Wow. But there's that big, big oak note and the sherry influence that is actually flowing through on the nose there. All right, getting to the tastings. Again, 95.2 here. Wow. It's really nice and elegant. It definitely transitions right in the middle, but as it enters, it's just like sweet grain, a little vanilla, a little caramel. Definitely sweet vanilla. And then it transforms midway, brings in a little tobacco, cigar box. The honey starts creeping in, and it finishes on like a cocoa powder or a dark chocolate kind of note to me. Really nice, because I get the vibrancy, you get the feel of like a young whiskey, but just as the spice start to develop and get kind of strong, then that age kind of kicks in and mellows the things out on the finish. Really, really nice stuff. All right, Cask of Dreams. Again, 14 to 16-year-old. 97.6 proof, feels even softer than the Snow Phoenix did at 92. Oof, 95.2, sorry. It's just very sweet, a lot of vanilla, a little bit of caramel. It's transitioning there in the middle, similar to the Snow Phoenix, but without such an intense tobacco or cigar box feel. A little bit of tobacco. The fruits, what is it? They blend seamlessly with the wood in this one. So you're getting like a little bit of a hint of cherry, a little bit of fig, golden raisin, but they all kind of intertwine with the amount of caramel coming, the vanilla coming from the oak. Wow, really, really nice stuff. Surprisingly smooth for the 97.6 proof that it is. Okay, now for the big sherry influences. All right, Malt Masters Edition. Definitely getting softer on the palate. This one enters very, very smoothly with the sweet, what is that, sweet grain. A little bit of vanilla. Then it starts transitioning. Cinnamon spice is kicking up right in the middle. Hint of tobacco coming on at the finish. The good thing about it is the alcohol never builds intensely in the mouth. There's a nice warmth, but I almost attribute that to the cinnamon and spices that I find in it. As far as fruits, I would go with a very ripe plum. Just a touch of cherry underneath there. And maybe, again, it's almost like the stone fruits, or darker fruits. A little bit of apricot. That's what's coming through. Very, very nice. For a whiskey of that age, it's very smooth without being hot. So very nice. And we're going to end with the Glenfiddich 30. It's definitely different than what I smelt on the nose. On the nose, it was very, very dark and wood. But once you taste it, and again, it's only 80 proof, so it should be very smooth. It's the most oily of the on the palate of all these. Wow. A nice little. It enters kind of sweet grain, but it's very. What's the word? It's very relaxed, and because of that oiliness, it just makes it so silky smooth. Flows down. There's a big caramel with a little bit of vanilla, but it's more of a caramel feel the way it sweetens up. Kind of transitions, but not as intensely as some of the others. It's bringing in a little cocoa powder. Hint of cinnamon, but it's not getting spicy like it was here. Definitely a dark chocolate, almost like a coffee bean coming on the finish. And it's, wow, I'd almost give it almost like a hint of cedar on the finish. Very, very nice. Probably the most elegant, or the most refined of all these, but it's very, that caramel and vanilla is from the amount of time it's spent in that wood. So it's losing a little bit of vibrancy. So if you wanted like the best of all the worlds, to me, Cask of Dreams is definitely there. This one's a little bit spicy, but it's not horrible. It's very, very manageable. But then again, Snow Phoenix, it's almost, I would almost lean towards these two as the best of all of them. Again, more cognac-like, definitely more like just a nice Scotch. So that's it for today. Thank you for joining me for another one of my YouTube videos. Everybody have a good evening, and cheers.